Hello, it's Stephanie Helwig with stephaniehelwig.com, and my mission is to help you create, manage, and grow your online presence using WordPress. And today I want to talk to you about something I see quite often, but I had a customer reach out. I built a website for her several years ago, and she was an awesome one-on-one client. I loved working with her, and she does something periodically that I'm so proud of. She reaches out to me to maintain her website. And so I wanted to talk about something that I see so often that is a huge, big mistake with people who have a WordPress website. So I want to just tell you today how you can maintain your website, because the greatest mistake that I see with one-on-one clients that I build these gorgeous websites for is that they don't maintain them. Yes, I can maintain them for you. I do have a service where I maintain websites for you, but a lot of times you want to maintain it yourself. But the problem is that maybe you're scared of the process, or you don't know the exact process, and so you neglect doing it or taking action. Isn't it true that when we're a little bit fearful of a process, we don't take action? Maybe we kind of get in that analysis paralysis, where we want to do that one day, but not today. Or we're going to research that and we're going to take care of that. And then weeks go by and months go by. Well, with WordPress, it is the most powerful platform that you can build your website on. And it is the professional choice. And there's so many options for you, but you need to keep it updated. There are always new plugins. Plugins need updated. WordPress needs updated. Your theme really shouldn't be updated, but sometimes themes need to be updated. So there is maintenance that needs to happen, and we don't want to neglect that. So what happens when we do neglect it? Well, number one, the scariest thing is that you can have bad scripts added to your website. So if you have a plugin that's growing old in your website, that's not being updated, or that had a security patch and you didn't update it, there's a reason for that security patch. So you need to update it. And if you don't, then you can get bad scripts added to your website, which could potentially take it completely down. So you don't want that to happen. Also, your performance could be lagging because maybe WordPress had an update and you didn't update it, and so your performance is lacking. Maybe it's not loading as fast as it could be, and so you lose visitors because they're sitting there waiting for it to load, and we just check out and we're going to move on to the next website. Most visitors will. So you want to keep it updated. So there's a few things that I recommend you do, just minimum, at the bare minimum. If you have a beautiful, gorgeous WordPress website that is working for you and increasing your market to a 24/7, 365-day marketplace, that's awesome. But don't compromise it by not keeping it updated. Do the maintenance, just like you would on your car or your house or yourself. Do the maintenance. And here is what I recommend you do for the bare minimum. So the first thing I always do when someone comes to me with wanting to have their site updated and maintained, here's what I do. Number one, I add a backup plugin. Now, there's some really great backup plugins out there. There's one that I love to use. It's absolutely free. And what it does is it sets it up on autopilot so that your website is updated on a consistent basis. Now, the next question I often hear is, how often should I be having my site backed up? So that depends on how often you create content. If your website is like a white pages and it's just kind of living out there for people to find you, and you're not really adding content or updating content, you probably don't need to back it up as often as somebody who's blogging every week. If you backed up your website once a month and you were blogging every week, if you had a problem and you had to revert back to a backup, you would lose content. So it really is based on how much content you are creating on a consistent basis, how often you back up. So that's the number one thing is I add a backup plugin and I link it to something outside of your website database to back up. So we don't want to save it on your database. We want to save it somewhere else like Dropbox or Google Drive. So if your database is compromised, your backup is safe. That's number one. Number two, what I like to do after I have a backup is update first your WordPress installation. So if your WordPress installation needs an update, that's the next step I take. Then I'll update your framework. If your framework needs an update, if you're using a framework, of course, everyone knows I love the Genesis framework and that's what I use, and it sometimes needs an update. And so that would be the next thing I update. So then the next thing is updating plugins. Now with plugins, you update them one at a time. And the reason that I update them one at a time is because if you have a problem with a plugin and you update them all at once, you won't know what plugin created the problem. So you update them one at a time and it isolates what the issue is if you have an issue with plugins. So the third thing that I like to do is add a link checker, a broken link checker. So you do all this work, you have this gorgeous website, you're sending people to a freebie, a lead magnet, you're generating some traffic, you're building warm traffic, and it's working for you, but your link breaks and you don't know it. So you're doing all this work and you're sending people to this freebie and they're not getting it because your link broke and you didn't know it. So to avoid that issue, we add a broken link checker. So that is what I do, the top 3 things that I recommend any WordPress owner do on a fairly consistent basis based on how often you are creating content. Back it up, update everything, and check those broken links.